don't crack a sebo, na aso, na mede nsama yamsa kainano, mede brahum, wadegeta 514, channel 54, you go TV do channel 22, yes, intended in the gas and the guitar box no so. If we share Facebook ya live, na YouTube so live, into Equa, and na achana kama, na mom, o comment na baza, if we share for location, baby a what fucking home na yan so yanyu nche za yanyu webia ebu shedon ko kase gbe edumoko a adawo ma we somasan mamede bra hu decide gift shop also tade na charge pedu internet traffic light na so pe ho na wo se ebu shia ko na ko tade na charge mu adofo hu na mpa wa so ewo won hu do damara na National Petroleum Authority NPA wono so wona dawo mara na enwabire we somasen meche also use gas the use gas a ebu da mpa bi yan fasupi o sande o ya affordable bebe aboko bi aso ebi ye gas ni bi nti enhwehwe mbira kra enyoku ya dawo maza na ne yenhwe sama obidi ni mu akotini be wati afutu ama nketesia mbade onfohu wonu sukura wakọ na mfa won sukura wankọ won ma won bo ohien osande ende da wo fa na agriculture no so oma nyimpa tumpun wablabom da mara so na wodi ato oye ebebuna wowo oman Ghana ni na enyim da mfasupi wo ha oda yin na ihwe chirkwan na se ihwe chirkwan da obie da mahende yeye oman numba Erushafu iyi na nsem a akan na nwabere matere bosom de don kore kasebo aba fam kitikeku ASORBA KOFI ESSUMAN afi yanjebe na yanji nsama nemu nchechirum UCC Mecha University of Cape Coast wanye Europe abochi nemu binom edi nkomo ahwe hi obi hiya da obayan tete da mmesiafo ma wonyaji ekwadwuma ho eyi nti wakaka mmesiafo ma wodi mfidan nanze konfe de senum wode wona abo no na wa ma ho tete de ekwadwuma mbo obaya ho so baya waye ekwadwuma anya ekwadwuma na denden da obi awudi okoko ana awudi ambe de bi imom nkruma tomatoes moko ndama nketa ekojaja ihia na omba na dada meneme nanu abatu sika kwotare di aba obi ye dama nketesia da won so won be shemi non ka bana dada ina obadan meinfu wada obedo hu abra wadi jumeda otiremi de shishado woye University of Cape Coast Professor Irene Ejiri mami oye agriculture economics wo University of Legon ono so odnyam beti echi na ono na yiem beti echi yin oma ntiti nya yin na original na odi na samuko datu megbe mu de hwe enne besabe bia shala oden beyin kotokum oden beyin kotokum debi o ontidam na debi ya boko beyin kotokum debi ya boko beyin kotokum adakotin obaka chere kotokum wetei na ho nnebu bebi a edu ugina do odubafa iyinti watuta senketese de enna akodwume ekodwume ya wofan agro ecologists another agriculture ebuso do wonshema ebe tomatoes busuwe basa na waduru ko na retutan nkuruma busuwe basa na retutan moko busu inti sanye kwagi kutinza edunshema obeye nza ta senketese de ma wannan mention nketese anu wannan mentie dai na won ko mention won kutukum no ko hweska no ma waso no nsi kodwene ma obewie pay dam Professor Irene Ejiri na nsama okani bi
ntina meka bibi about empowerment se kas train bi se akone de ade no yem fa so ori be fi obobo wo community wa aboa Ghana man nti se rehye ni ye mfende meka mobile phone ni obe mbesi afo no won pere wo service ka na wo to smartphone wo pere wo service ka na wo to tam busu mi bi hazo oboto tam oboto smartphone be no benyin onyi skill pa obetintin obobo bo se wato besiafo yɛn hu dam ne yɛ mɛmma wo school a ankɔ nkɔanyim ɔntwe wo nsa n'ekyir mɛmma wo besi ɛyɛ ɔntwe wo nsa n'ekyir adze na ɔyɛ adesua esua a ne sɛ wankasa experiment wanyɛ yɛ mpo a bisa na ɛresua ɛno na mmenyimfo no wɔyɛ nsɛ kakra na ɔda ɛbɔ na ɛdze yɛ na ɔyɛ yie a yɛma ɔnyɛ yie ama mfaso a wɔ ho no mmenyin renya ne mbesia no nso wɔrenya ɔmo fie atwompo
na sɛ ebi nya mfaso na waso enya bia ɔno bowie pɛyɛ na dwumadi a ɔte dɛm no hɔn a wɔfa wɔn kaw Dennis Abuafo na kosibenya ɔtɛnyin the coordinator ofi ɔyɛ Dennis dai na obegyina yɛ bɔhwɛ dɛ dwumadi a ɔte no bɔkɔdo wɔtu sika wɔde boa yɛ dwumadi no nkɔdo mekyɛ opɛyin Simon Bowig papa gyina na so ɔde nsɛm to gbɛdɛ ɔyɛ wɔtɛyɛ na sabe tafɛkyɛ wiadze no pɛyin aka wonyanko hiamboa na aboa na nyipa bia so no mboa ɔwɔ nyipa hɔ nti sɛ ɔtete wɔn sa ne sika de ba da mfa ntete nketese ma na wɔn kɔdo ndo kɔyɛ no nso nya bia na no kwan dai wo Simon no nsɛm ɔkan ebi.
There is a workshop that the farmers have benefited a lot from the knowledge that the students especially have produced on fertilization using our today's workshop that the farmers have benefited a lot from the knowledge that the students especially have produced on fertilization using organic materials, on irrigation, also on different seeds that they can plant to be more resistant to climate change, more resilient. One of the ideas was also they could plant outside the main rainy season, so they could harvest vegetables when the prices were high. We also benefit from the farmers' knowledge. Farmers have a lot of practical knowledge, and one of my research activities is also basically to collect knowledge from farmers, not just the other way around. So that's also an important lesson, I think. We often go around on the fields with the farmers, and they explain to us how they have done that for many years. In fact, I came to Ghana in 1992.
Coordinator Dennis aman ano wo oman Ghana na obahwe wode ntetema mesafo ma wodi fidanan de ko oye edosenu mbra obaye mo nkon bodo agriculture adwuman ono no nte na ete no kasan erusayen konsam fofom twufo himan na wode nkyira hona henkro ono himan na himan wa afeso na wodi wo oye afibiara oye twanko afehye na twanko afehye otedam wezi ndapena abasin kwa na mpemfa amayina owo ESSUMAN kase wato nsofre no mfere myam mate echi de owo special guest na papa da no odin sam da to go achirime de se ye da afi nye huda afi no sabi oya da hin peyin wodan ne dai na hin so ye tuedo nti ye da ne ye diri ye na ya achire oman Ghana da ye wo biara ebibiriman odin edi ana iwade meina odinedi me yin ampa yeye oman Ghana ode ye madamazin odedi no no ma dodo no so we ampa oman Ghana yewo oye afashapan yewo abakwasam na yewo amanzi na amamra so osaba ma eduda kwa otode baasa na kase okan ebi
kroi ya hinkro wo bika ba ko mienu bi aka wo se mehwe yeka nesitu isanse enye politics nkuana edi enya abrofo nso ayi bi pa na aha eye kwa ho bibi e friend artifacts akwasem ya bitu afri asase we so no siapa we di enim ye di akire na om de ya de abre akakasa se no na omo so de bi tourist centers o krum wa buche ho om de giska omo fa ya de abre siapa ehun chechim no de mintimi kan bebre wo ha no siapa
owa kobna ansu aponsa ono so woto nsafo wadwumadi na ase osanda ono na adwuma fa afeseponu ya no ka mekire oya nkunim group of company na nkunim group of company papai na odano na odenya beti echirin na so odinsem to gode oya nokwa sa ebibi mane wa abakosam na iwobi kai obi kira oda hensu ye denedi na dodu na ran pede what the baby who shady, what the chairman shot, into a ball, and I say, be no fina, and I tell man a part there, Abakara Gani, and the baby work into on period that baby fimpo or the chair, or Kobna and Sue and Ponsan Sama, a caribbean.
In fact, I try MP NDC so say aha opportunities were say Ombayane say Tomba BC factory be purposely for agriculture because apart from our benon so no the cool in your monument to be a degree waha no fan consider na yam famboa dipa na waha say it say omoba ankasa nti abanso twa na ni no fa ma mebe ade bia no matter say the tie no the chance nkaka opportunity that will mine nti bibia ni a wo obabuna and who are into a bank said, yeah, also then I can't be now to be the abo. Extra bamba so as senior, how they are cool. But why should it be a city? Obian will be to my this was should be a city. And Sana, Obibu needs to be now. No, Baba, I never come and say, Manuma, who are working in the chance after say, Mamaka, who now, young yet young compassion. The opportunity to see all businesses, any year more entertainment industry, about being the year.
Tom Shafo, Honorable Edu Amua, Honor Water Safrende, on Free Yamkatechi, Wafasaponasi, when you can call into Suma, NDC, Amaya Kuba, one for Pena, or Finfriman Toma, or McBerry. There, Uncle, non fame, Unfamiliar Yamunko, Nan, some of the Botugan, Uncle the Dinfancha Desha, Wawahiman, Na Abra, McBerry Kupemo, Imsia, no ye young Saka or Sunday. Oya tufu hima wadesi kron boni bele nyum nti bra kwota afasepone de no wa yanyije sampa na nsama oje fifi mantom shafu na nemo de tugwa no ibi.
Today we gather not only to commemorate our past but to actively explore the theme unlocking developmental potentials through festival. A festival like this is a powerful engine for development. It brings together our most valuable assets, our people, our culture, our entrepreneur, spirit, and our collective goodwill. Distinguished guests, I would remiss if I did not single out for praise the visionary and the exemplary leadership of His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Amua Sesereku IV. Your dedication to the progress of ESSUMAN is truly commendable. The initiative to furnish a College of Health and Allied Sciences is a testament to your foresight and deep commitment to human capital development. This college will not only serve ESSUMAN, but will become a national asset, producing skilled healthcare professionals who will serve our beloved nation, Ghana. This administration, under His Excellency, the President, John Dramani Mahama, stands in solidarity with this noble cause. Nananom, the youth of ESSUMAN, this festival and projects like the college are the keys to your future. Let us look beyond the festivities and see the possibilities for skills development, for entrepreneurship, and for the quality education that will soon be available on your doorstep.
Owa Magdari oye NDC amanyo kunu bo anu fo payin wo oye fifi mantom ha ewuso ye kwansan fufum ewuso fa wo de pencil wo de draw na oba na wa do wewie na echi woroko do ya densi do ya car kwan ya che architects in Ghana Institute of Architectures wo oye omanga no woni kabonku wa ye wona afi hyenhyem wo oye fifi mantom ha na nkro ogwa na anada ena wadi afinhyehye no hyehyado na ugbe anu gbe yi no nsemipi na okrodo na de sipi so na wodwan na okakase wo oyadwumadi na ase fifi mantom hwafo onobu eduamu a ochiripenyin oyinu peyfo fifi mantom ketechafo wona adwuma duduna nkwafo ntase osana wo bo yedene papa oya mpem obeye ma ebenye skampode twa wona kaw ye ina waye bo achi binidin na man Ghana enjuma awu pi wo a won fa architecture sentran de won sukulu awa kwan oya na abere nye sika mfe ntwa won ka nti bohwe na do woya nkwan kra adwuma mecha private na private work no so oya fo yo na ka fa architecture o me ya bibi kakra fa mo na we charge obu fiel chede awon de ma obaka na na owom na mom damra obaya o man Ghana nupu ntu na kan ko bo wie pen nti what the oye dam architecture si what the una kasa oye asaya osha adensi nsunsuwado mecha Ministry of Works and Housing ono na what the adam architecture fi what the una kasa until ono no 50 months of shuffle or the challenge papa no what to dama oye architecture si there impemprenyara obi ye dama won then nzama biara wafada omo American etumpon teacher people abefo in that technology abe oda nzama pi in architectures wutu won ya wuduado na wama American hu na mpa won so wo hobi na bra 50 mantom shafo odin sam tugwano kakra Coastal Television second ibe
in the Wobey and Zamibia, one of our noble woman said, Lucy, Kotoka, now put a Nigeria airport in your airport to now, also from when baby or come, maybe obey baby ma, a Phoebe Akasachen, and I buy a big training, 1 hour, one with my own Kasa. By India Sampa, I've been so what's there, yeah, ban bomber than the architect, 1 hour walk road drawn the Mazaman. Adanho e no yenhwe de ye ba jedodua wo de sota assembly so the Sunday wo pupi na o wa wo yi ma be no bo buama mensi ma membu no wetu wa ko ma aban so ka chewo ni ye waje de wo ba bu so ma yaye o man e hwe mensi ma wo sise kasa so na za nti bebre o down si ye pede se aso ye di yankasa ye fie nzama Ghana nzama ye tidan na odan no obeche aye yuso nyama hote yense condition na nke kawo eje na kwena wo fado sidan e den ukra ni Ghana ha yenyi bibia wodi cement no do oya twinka na nke kawo yenyi do do bebre it is ya densi na be cement no tere dachi abai kawo baba omeni papa ndi ehwe kwaya won so bofado na why research when nzame bia wodi kan ye na no de to na mba na nyama wodi ya dan wa da no bobo na o ma dance so Ghana waka affordable house wa bodi affordable na mo wona wotu woto ni ye wona wo skapa odin say architect free ya me bo na wo ye nzame bi wo hye nyama ye na wodi nzama wodi sita no buku ma edu wa butu wa ye na wotu wa ye bebi na wa tra o man pay mama research in kan hu da ye butu ye ade a no buku ye dama Ghana ma o wotu wa tie na so wo tum pa wa ma wo be pa a wotu wa tie wo bobo wa ha that means yes the man that wa be wa he e ba kan wa ye wa de kabuma o de ne putu baba amen central region ka ke pusa e hwe be bia ye wo adan da wona na say ya edan bui no e bi ni mu ye edan no ra no re de e bi o ha ye ntum fa ye nsa ka o san de abakwa sama o so de e be ja but mo wa ye dan da wona e butum ye no na che investors papa no we be si na wa ma wadan ni bi no wa ka so aye da wa be ye adan ni wa mo di tuma o mo e pa me ye we are indeed moving from the culture into the new society.
Fifth month shuffle honorable Edamo or Chilpin on an answer and etin. It was a yakon some fufrum. Dabney na Shafa or Chessica Samudo or Claw or Yabresibogum or the money now come body or I think maybe on ye edunu is ya Yabocomono or that come button to Cotuga or Bresibogum. No other Cotuga no one woman share a feminine or then a deeper fair chair in the Ahulwa and now in Yumahulwa what is Sikano was the Baye. Abra other than 72 so far Osha woman sharu ura han idusu nana su ejina no yin sancho fa bon komo acheche kona horowa wodi dam sikanu wodi be yeduma wa fempi mebe onye edonu esie na ye bokom no kona obafado wodi sika be yeduma ena mpo woman share ahye na nkesa ejuma horowa wo be no afempim ebien onye edonu esie no ono bo ha na edusu chechirem na osidi pi popo de Impre say you could wear a fufuruma. I think people onye Indonesian. I check for over phone and Pimesia onye oha 6,100. I check for no over for one na wako oye adusibia another classroom wako na wakachadi. Na bra honorable how do you do so on your sanchofo research and in semuno ibin
and 184 in particular, where the appendix is shared, you will see an allocation of 39.2 billion to deliver our planned programs and interventions across basic, secondary, and tertiary education. Of it, 33.76 billion will come from the Government of Ghana funds. We expect 3.68 billion from internally generated funds and 1.8 billion from development partners through loans and grants. The allocation represents a 23% increase over the 2025 approved budget. It reflects the commitment of government to expanding access and improving quality from basic education to higher education or tertiary education, and to recognize that education holds a key to Ghana facilitating and guaranteeing sustainable, meaningful development for our country. The budget structure, don't forget, education remains Ghana's larger employer. So the Director General of GES is here. I understand that some striking teachers are looking for us on the streets of Accra. And then to respond to them, that Cabinet gave approval for us to recruit some 6,100 more teachers. And therefore, that category of teachers which belong to the 2023 cohort are adequately captured. I'll be surprised if it is the same group that is on the street. They rather should be looking for us and going back to offices for purpose of audit and identification to be restated to billion. The Ghana Education Fund has been allocated 9.9 billion, including 42 billion earmarked for free senior high school and free TVET infrastructure and services. I've heard some commentaries in the media that there is no allocation, no provision for free call in the 2025 budget statement. And the budget is always done for and on behalf of the President of the Republic, which was his first budget. He indicated a major policy shift of financing free senior high school from the GET fund, and not as was the case since 2018 till 2024, when education, particularly free senior high school, was largely financed from petroleum revenue of the country, annual budget funding amount of ABFA. So the shift is that this time, GET Fund will provide the financing for free senior high school. An amount of 42 billion has been allocated. When the GET Fund formula gets to Parliament, you will see the actual numbers. This will provide for the feeding of students and also provide for the provision of free tertiary education for persons with disability, which we hope that the Student Loan Trust, together with the yet to be established Ghana Scholarship Authority, will collaborate to see to the disbursement of that. I'm praying that in the next couple of weeks, the President will assent to the bill if Parliament finishes its part of the work and sends the bill for presidential assent in accord with Article 106 of the Constitution. So there will still be free tertiary vocational education, and that's why I said that the financing allocation for the Ministry of Education and its agencies may not be sufficient, but at least adequate for now and adequate within the constraints of the budget. Don't forget, and ladies and gentlemen of the media, a few of you are here. I still recall before 2025, one of the most nagging questions the media asked the NDC and President Mahama was, show us one social intervention policy of your government. We have sufficiently and adequately provided and answered the Ghanaian public. I have identified three. Those of you who are more intellectual than me can add the additional ones. Mahama Cares is a social intervention policy. No fee stress is a social intervention policy. Free education for persons with disability is a social intervention policy. And therefore our critics, you are now naysayers because we have answered you and answered you adequately. That under President Mahama's research agenda, we have responded adequately, and he would leave that as an enduring legacy of the Mahama presidency. and no academic fees policy for all first year students. You would note that some 537.4 million has been allocated for that purpose, representing 7.6% from what was allocated in 2025. And many of the students are grateful for that intervention, and that takes a burden off parents and students. And for President Mahama and the Ministry of Education, no child should be left behind because the person is financially disadvantaged. And therefore, we have also expanded the remit of the student loan trust into the +1 they have. Even students of Ghana School of Law who hitherto did not benefit from it, we've expanded it for them to benefit. So in total, 4.2 billion has been dedicated to sustaining and improving the free senior high school and free TVET program. This investment will ensure that every Ghanaian child, regardless of background, has access to secondary education. We will do everything possible. Last year, it was 3.5 billion in the 2025 budget. So from 4.2 billion is an appreciable increase. Part of the crisis in free senior high school is infrastructure. The lack of, or call it inadequate, classroom, dormitories, laboratories, ICT centers to turn them digital, would embark on one of the most ambitious education infrastructure programs. So that explains what the Minister for Finance explained, that there will be 200 kindergarten blocks, 200 primary schools, and 200 junior high schools, and then 400 teacher bungalows and 400 modern sanitary facilities. I may just want to emphasize one of it. The junior high school concept. Many of you, those of you who are privileged to have been born urban and live in urban areas, your story may not be the same as mine. In rural areas, there are some communities where children have to walk a mile, sometimes up to 2, in order to be able to access junior high school education. And in many instances, we have 12 to 13 communities that combine to be able to have access to a junior high school. The intervention of the 200 junior high school is to resolve and respond to the need across the country. So we will do that. And then on teachers bungalow, as you recall in the manifesto, we promised Teacher Dabre. It was one of President Mahama's flagship pledges to the Ghanaian people. I'm currently reviewing a paper and a proposal from the District Assembly Common Fund. And District Assembly Common Fund, GET Fund, GSOP, the pension fund of the teachers, and the Teachers Union, we intend to embark on a provision of 50,000 housing units for teachers under that combined effort. The administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund was in Morocco a while ago, a few weeks ago, to engage with some of the partners. What we need is to identify what the funding mechanism will be for the delivery of it. Then to emphasize that it is not the wish of President Mahama that any new education infrastructure is built without sanitary facilities, particularly changing room for girls. Director General GES, so a must that when your procurement unit is undertaking any procurement of a classroom and a dormitory, it's important that the sanitary facilities are attached to them. Currently across the country, we have unsatisfactory state of many of those sanitary facilities. We are talking to some donors to see how we get that done. A significant intervention to end the double track phenomena. You remember double track? Those of you who said red, gold, green. This one, not for traffic lights purposes, but for us in education, it necessarily and avoidably contributed to low quality of education because the number of time hours spent between students and teachers was affected by the double track. Many of the school girls and boys spend more time at home and less time in school. We can respond to it through expanded infrastructure, through a digital provision, and we are happy to announce a new flagship program known as the Ghana Secondary Learning Improvement Program, a 2-year World Bank supported project valued at $180 million. The World Bank team is in town. They are doing this assessment across the country, and they would also even further support some of the e-block initiative that was started and not completed. So be assured that we would come back to you. In 2026, a total of 1.1 billion has been allocated under the Ghana Secondary Education Learning Improvement Program to execute infrastructure expansion and, more importantly, quality improvement, which is about teachers. I have maintained all the time that the quality of a student is a function of a good teacher, and therefore we need to boost their morale, work to improve their conditions of service with teacher Dabre. I know for many teachers, improve conditions of service meant that I should increase basic salary tomorrow, and then they'll be able to smile at government. So we will expand, and let me give you the background to it. We would expand a number of category A schools, and we intend to expand 10 category B schools to A and 10 category C schools to B, and then expand some areas. And then to many of the schools that may be listening to me, on my way here, I have added Mankrasu Senior High School based on their performance at the National Maths and Science Quiz. My heart is warmed to reach out to them to know that the country appreciates that, given the deprivation, they have demonstrated excellence and academic pursuit. So I'm still monitoring. There's also a school in the Eastern Region, Kade, where their student became a best science student, yet they have no science laboratory. I'll reward them with a laboratory into next year. We intend under the $180 million to complete 30 community day senior high schools, what is referred to as the E-block. So I recognize that the Director General of GTech is in. When I get to teacher education, I'll come to you and see what we are able to do together. And then for higher education, we want to establish 2 new technical universities in Jasikan, Techima, and Damongo. But now Damongo is getting the University of Science and Technology in Damongo. So I may have to take a decision, but in consultation with the president. Originally, the thought was to situate a technical university in Damongo. So now that they have a science and technology university, maybe I'll shift focus to do Jasikan and Techima and still give Damongo the science and technology university in order to get equity. But because the remit of a technical university is different from a science and technology university, I want all 3 to take off. I met with the contractors this morning. Once they get guarantees from GetFund, they may be able to get them going simultaneously. So Techima, Jasikan, and Techima will benefit from that. And then we would begin the process to create 2 new public universities in Kintampo. And now I'm looking at Achirenswa in the Ahafo region, so that at least the president desired that every region has a dedicated institution of higher learning would have been answered. We will send a team shortly to do a need assessment of Achirenswa. It may include Kenyasi, depending upon their relationship with UNER. We expect that next year, the University of Engineering and Agricultural Sciences at Bunsu will take off with some satellite universities in other parts of the country. In addition to this reform, we want to promote literacy and then reading culture. So for emphasis, if you take the GetFund formula, I've been in Parliament in the last 21 years or 20 years, I'm told. You see that in GetFund allocations, we leave out, for instance, an account which is required by law for persons with special needs, Ghana Library Authority, and then distance learning. I intend to correct that in the formula and ensure that these 3 components becomes an integral part of every GetFund formula presented to Parliament, so that every year Ghana Library Authority is assured of a minimum allocation which will allow them to do the Sunyani library for the Omahini of Sunyani, his people, or in Eastern Region or in Bogatanga where they have none, or even in the central or western region. Then also, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, I have a duty to work with you. Ghana's reading culture is at, if I say all-time low, they will quote me tomorrow and say Haruna says reading culture is at all-time low. So our reading culture is not the best, and all of us have to encourage and get the culture of reading enhanced, and we can do so. Those of you who are parents, guide the little ones to love to read, love to learn, and that is the best way they can enrich their knowledge and they become strong person. So we intend to improve the digital library architecture of the country and extend learning resources to every part of the country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to what may be the best news in the 2026 budget for President Mahama and for the Ghanaian people. I visited the Akwapim Akropong School for the Blind, as well as several other special and inclusive schools. What I witnessed there, I recognize Professor Chair of GTech has just joined us. Prof, I recognize you, Prof Mahama. So I'm now on special education, and I have submitted a comprehensive policy paper to Cabinet to look at the possibility of introducing free education for all learners in special and integrated schools across the country. I intend that if I get the support of the President and Cabinet, for which I trust I have, from 1st January 2026, we should be able to provide for the needs of all learners with special needs in our country, including the provision of devices for persons who are visually impaired, those with hearing difficulties, and others. What I noticed as I went to Akropong was that even feeding, they still depended on government grants. That is not good enough. So we extend school feeding to all the special needs and integrated schools in the country. And for me, that will be the best intervention of meeting the needs of distressed, marginalized learners in the provision of our educational system. Accordingly, I've requested and directed GET Fund to make a minimum allocation of 65 million Ghana cedis to support the initiative of supporting all learners with special needs. So again, ladies and gentlemen of the media, don't say I didn't see this in the budget. You will see it in the GET Fund formula. What the President have done, for which I've committed my signature, is that GET Fund will now essentially be responsible for the financing of free senior high school, free education, free tertiary education for all persons with disability, and free education for persons with special needs. All we are doing is to offload the financing of that from the consolidated fund into the Ghana Education Trust Fund. The law anticipated that even in its original proposition and thought as an act. So our budget this year is bold and strategic, and we think that is forward looking. I should end once again by referring you to page 183, 184 of the budget statement. And ladies and gentlemen of the media, I should be concluding so that I can take a few questions or remarks. But let the questions stay to budget. How I'm going to finance free senior high school. How President Mahama and the NDC will honor the pledge to the Ghanaian people. And for many of you, as I've emphasized, for free senior high school, many of the institutions have doubled their intake from maybe 1,400 to 4,400, but still living with the same infrastructure. So the Ghana Education Service deserves all our support in terms of budgetary allocation beyond salaries, in order that they will respond to the infrastructure needs of our schools. So let me pause here, and to those of you, I will say.
Ebushafo Shafa Oshe Wumesiado Honorable Harun Idrusu ono na ode kono abafado na 2026 akwomobosika wadaman woye Wumesiamen abafado na ode didi djuma ono na wachechirim waba